but I don't plan on remembering any of this tomorrow. I hope none of you do either.
You got a problem with that microphone stand.
I will say that following Andy, my beard feels really inadequate. Scott motherfucking Diffee, 40 years old. Surely that's a sign of the apocalypse. Well, they say you only roast the ones that you love, so I'm going to keep this short.
You love me, man.
I do. I will say that, if you mention Scott Diffee, you can't help thinking about Alina Bennett, Scott's better half.
Yeah!
She was here tonight. Scott told me he liked to eat a little Chinese on the side.
Oh!
Ladies and gentlemen, Ace Spade is here. Looking tan as always. Whoever roused him from his crib tonight, I appreciate it. He's the sole reason I stopped eating at Pizza D. I'd also like to thank Robert Rawling for doing the thankless job of hosting this evening. So far, he's combining the excitement of standing there with the thrill of saying words. I relocated to Little Rock in 1991. And in my 20 years here, I've encountered many losers, addicts, and whores. It's nice to see you all in one place tonight. I'll readily admit that I'm a show whore. I reckon I've seen over 1,000 shows in the past 20 years, many of them right here at Vino's. I'd spend my weekends here on a Friday and a Saturday night sitting at the back of the bar. I wouldn't even bother to look at the calendar. I'd simply show up and to listen to whoever was playing. And I'm not going to lie to you, most of the shows were god-awful. And I can thank Kevin Kirby for a lot of those. I've seen so many shitty Pantera ripoff bands, it should almost be considered a subgenre of metal. But every now and then, you'll catch that band that completely turns your musical world upside down. Whether it's due to them playing something in a completely different way, or they're just so damn good that it makes you want to cry. And when that happens, it makes all the shitty shows you've seen worth it. I specifically remember in the early 90s, I was at Juanita's. It was a showcase of some sort, maybe sponsored by Spectrum. And there was this band on stage called Shallows. They had a scruffy, dark-haired singer named Jack, who was doing his best to convince everyone that they weren't rock stars. And the other guitar player had what I could best describe as a poofy mullet. That was my first introduction to Scott Diffee. I can still remember the chorus to this day. She brings fresh flowers for me. And even though I was a metalhead, I knew at that moment I was witnessing one of the purest representations of rock and roll that I had ever experienced. There was a truth and an honesty about what they were doing that is altogether lost these days. It left such an impression on me that I'm talking about it now with you good people some 20 years later. So, I'm going to leave you with that image for now. And I'm going to go off on a slight tangent, and like any good preacher on a Sunday morning, I'll come back around to it later. 40 is in my rearview mirror. But like some of you, I was a child of the 70s. Back then, there was no cable TV, no MTV, no TMZ or VH1. There was no internet or MySpace or Facebook or band websites that would bombard you with information about your favorite bands at every hour of the day. All you had was a record and a record player. I would take out my Kiss Alive 2 album, put on my headphones, and I was magically transported away. Rock and roll became larger than life. I was front row to the best Kiss concert I can imagine. I not only worshipped Ace Frehley, I became Ace Frehley. Rock and roll was magic, and rock stars were the wizards. You'd go to school the next day, and when you heard that Ozzy bit the head off a bat, you were enamored. When someone told you that Gene Simmons bit his tongue at every show and actually spit real human blood, you believed it. You believed that Paul Stanley could jump 6 feet high in 7-inch heels. And you were somewhat disgusted, but eerily fascinated, when you heard that Rod Stewart had a quart of semen pumped out of his stomach. Even though you really didn't know what semen was at that point. So fast forward to now, and you've got MTV, VH1, MySpace, the internet, and all these music websites keeping you up to date on the minutiae of your idols. What has happened to our rock stars? Ozzy Osbourne got his own reality show, and you got to see him for the bumbling, stuttering boob that he is. Gene Simmons has his own show, and you quickly found out that he was concerned with one thing, and it wasn't music. Steven Tyler is a judge on American Idol. Metallica, the mighty Metallica, the very founders of thrash metal, they released a documentary back in 2003 called Some Kind of Monster. And it exposed them for the dysfunctional, therapy-prone individuals that they actually are. What happened to all the rock stars? Where have they gone? Is Bret Michaels all we have left? Is Nickelback, Disturbed, and God forbid, Kenny Chesney the best we can do? Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee are now sober. Vince Neil is fat and bloated. Ronnie James Dio is dead. And Axl Rose is a bigger asshole than Gene Simmons and even more irrelevant. Rock and roll is dead, my friends. The illusion of the rock star has been shattered. The myth no more. So I'll ask once again, where have all the rock stars gone? Well, I can tell you where. There was a rock star on stage at Juanita's all those years ago, despite his best attempt to tell you that he wasn't. And there's a rock star sitting on stage in that chair. Scott Diffee is the biggest rock star I know. Being a rock star is not something you can easily describe. It's not just about wearing snakeskin boots, sunglasses, and having tattoos. It's not something you can really put your finger on, but you know it when you see it. And I know that Scott Diffee is a rock star. There's a truth and an honesty about him that makes him so. He's true to himself. He's what psychologists would call a fully actualized individual. He told his dad when he was 18 or so that he wanted to tattoo and play rock and roll music for a living. And that's exactly what he's done. And tattooing can be an ugly business. Look at Chris Thomas. Scott, I appreciate who you are. I appreciate everything you've done for this scene. You are the king of white trash. You are the Velveeta of gourmet cheese. You make hepatitis A, B, and C look really good. You're everything my mother is glad I'm not, and everything I'd like to be. You have a big heart, even though that's because it's been dangerously enlarged by cocaine. You're way too happy to be a metalhead, but I'm honored to call you my friend. Congratulations to 40 years, and your present is in my pants.
Right? God damn, when we were crying.